Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Gary's here.
Hi, Gary.
Hello.
I'll call to order tonight's meeting of the Antelope Valley East Kern Water Agency. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. President. Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Division 6, Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Terrace.
Here.
Division 4, George Lane.
Here.
Division 1, Shelley Sourceable.
Here.
Division 3, Frank Donato. Division 2, Keith Dias. President Dias. Keith. Dwayne Chisholm.
Here.
Tilden Kim.
Present.
And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you. Item number 3, voluntary public roll call. If any member of the public wishes to introduce themselves, please feel free to do so now.
Vincent Dino, Palmdale Water District.
Hi, Vince.
Jack Cephas.
How you doing?
Jack Cephas, Fight Fence number 3.
Hey, John.
John Joyce.
Amber Rose.
John Joyce reporting for Roseman, Lake LA, Acton, and Awadilce.
Thank you, John.
Amber Rose Marino, reporting from Palmdale Water District.
Thank you.
Jim Gardner, White Fence Farms, number 3.
Hello, Jim. Anyone else? Item number 4, public comments and period open to the public. If anyone wishes to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda, please feel free to do so now. If there are no public comments, we'll move along to item 5. Do I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
Also move, Mr. President. George Lane.
Thank you.
This is Director Miller. I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Terrace.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Shelley Sourceable.
Yes.
Frank Donato.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes, the measure passes. Thank you. Item number 6, consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
This is Director Sourceable. I'll move to accept the consent calendar.
Thank you.
Powering on.
This is Director Miller. I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Terrace.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes.
Shelley Sourceable.
Yes.
Frank Donato.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes, measure passes. Thank you. Item 7A, water rates and capacity fees committee. Who will be giving a report on this item? Gary?
Yes, we had a meeting, and Dwayne, can you go ahead and report on our meeting? Thank you.
Yes. Matt Knudsen will be has worked on this project, and we'll be providing the staff report on this particular item.
All right. Thank you, Dwayne. Good evening, directors. It's Matt. So on page 42 of your packet is a brief staff report. And attached to the staff report is the proposal submitted by Raftellus Financial Consultant. So we've got a couple slides here to go through summary that was discussed with the Water Rates and Capacity Fee Committee last couple weeks. So AVAC requests a proposal from Raftellus to provide financial planning and rate setting services. As you know, AVAC has utilized Raftellus in recent years to update the agency's 5-year financial model to supporting recommended rate adjustments that we consider every fall to implement for the following calendar year. The rates, that any new rate adjustments go into effect January 1st of each calendar year. So in the proposal that's included in the board packet, the proposal includes 4 tasks. The first task is similar to recent years where they will develop a 5-year financial plan. And this plan is going to cover years 2022 through 2026. And out of that financial plan will be a recommended rate adjustment for calendar year 2022. It will also show projected or estimated rate adjustment in subsequent years through the year 2026. This approach has worked out well for the agency. It gives our customers kind of a 5-year look on what rates could look like going forward. But again, we only set the rate for the following year itself. So in addition to doing that financial plan, as we have done in the past, we asked Raftellus to develop what we call a loaded rate that will include the overhead rate for staff time. And where this will come in handy is with our agreement with Metropolitan Water District on the High Desert Water Bank. As part of that agreement with them, they are to reimburse the agency all operation and maintenance costs associated with that facility. And this financial analysis that Raftellus will do will be to develop that loaded rate to justify the rate we are charging Metropolitan, to ensure that we're not just recouping staff hourly rates, but benefit costs, retirement rates, etc. The third task in the proposal will be to develop and confirm what the replacement water rate should be. As you know, AVAC provides a recommended rate to the Antelope Valley Water Master, which they charge for producers that overpump outside their production rights. And this analysis that Raftellus would perform kind of supports the agency in setting that rate. And then the fourth task is kind of new as well. And this is to develop what we call a wheeling rate in the event we utilize agency facilities to pump customers' groundwater production rights and wheel that water through our system. Now, we don't have a policy for this in place, but there's been some discussion with the Water Rate Committee that we would move towards this proposal, and we thought it'd be good to include in Raftellus's proposal the cost and effort associated with developing this rate, so we have an idea of what that looks like. So for the 4 tasks, the proposed fee is not to exceed amount of $47,645. This was reviewed in detail with the Water Rates and Capacity Fee Committee. Raftellus did sharpen their pencil a little bit after our first committee meeting and trim the fee down a little bit based on committee input. So based on that, the recommendation from the committee and staff is for the board to approve the proposal from Raftellus and not to exceed the amount of $47,645. And secondly, authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with Raftellus. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Matt? If not, could I have a motion, please?
Also move, Mr. President, and George Lane.
Thank you.
This is Frank. I'll second it.
Thank you. Any more questions or discussion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
George Lane,
Yes.
Shelley Sorsable,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Gaius.
Yes, the measure passes. Thank you.
I may add that, Mr. President, that originally the expenses were, I believe, about, I think it's 12,000 plus or minus, and there seemed to be some confusion on that part, and then committee input, and the expenses were reduced to less than $1,880.
Thank you. Very good. Item 7B1, consideration and possible action to approve the Antelope Valley Mutual Response Agreement. Director Sorsabal, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. Thank you, President Bias. This next item is consideration and possible action to approve a Antelope Valley Mutual Response Agreement. Now, this has been in the works for a very long time, so I'm glad to see that it's before us now to consider it. This agreement, we hope to never have to use, but in case we do, we would have an agreement in place and know how to know what to do in case of an emergency. So I'll go ahead and turn this over now to General Manager Chisholm to give us our report.
Thank you, Director Sorsable. I have a short PowerPoint presentation for the board, and so as Director Sorsable mentioned, this has been in the works for quite a while. And essentially how these mutual aid agreements work is that a group of agencies have agreed to help each other out during an emergency. And by doing so, it's a completely voluntary system. If we're all working and we can't, if there is a big emergency and we're all working in our various agencies, we aren't required to go help someone else. But normally, if you can't help, it's always good to be able to try and do that to, help better serve the public. And what this agreement does is it puts into a framework for recovering costs, and also addresses the various indemnity provisions that are necessary for this. And as you can see, we've been discussing this for quite a long time. So there is a real benefit, I believe, for the agencies to work together during an event to be able to pool some resources and better serve the public. And some of the agencies that are also looking at this include the state water contractors, which would be Palmdale Water District, Little Rock, along with the cities of Palmdale and Lancaster. We have some mutual water districts along with Quartzville Water District and Roseman are taking a look at it. And we'll see exactly how it all works out, but it looks like it's moving forward nicely. So, as I mentioned previously, this is to coordinate responses and share our resources during an emergency. The Planning Committee and the staff recommend to the board that we approve the attached mutual response agreement and authorize the general manager to execute on behalf of the agency. With that concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Dwayne? If not, could I have a motion to approve Board Order 7B1?
This is Director Sorsabal. I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Mr. President, this is Rob. I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Rob. Are there any more questions or discussion? Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
George Lane,
Yes.
Shelley Sorsable,
Yes.
Frank D'Amato,
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes, the measure passes. Thank you all for your hard work on this project.
The next item, B7B2, is consideration and possible action on amendment number 1 with the Water Systems Consulting Inc. for additional scope associated with preparation of the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. The committee met and went over what the changes of scope of work that need to be done and the cost associated with that. And Assistant General Manager Nick Knutson has a report on that.
All right. Thank you, Director Sorsable. So, as stated, we have an amendment number 1 that we're recommending with Water Systems Consulting associated with the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. So just a little bit of background. Oh, yep, there we go. Back in August of 2020, the board authorized and entered into an agreement with Water Systems Consulting out of San Luis Obispo to prepare the agency's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan update. The original scope of work and fee was based on a defined list of tasks, and it had an anticipated completion date of June 30th of this year. So as you know, Water Systems Consulting presented the draft plan at a public hearing, which was incorporated into one of our recent board meetings, gave a very detailed report on what's included in the plan, as well as the agency's water supplies, as well as existing demand and future water demands within our service area. Some good things came out of that plan with feedback from the directors, having to do with the MOU with LA County Waterworks and the requirement, or whether the requirement of continuing with that MOU was necessary. So we've been working on that separately from the Urban Water Management Plan. But because of what came out of that discussion and the direction that the agency's going with it, there was some additional analysis and work that extended both the schedule and the scope of work for Water Systems Consulting. So what this amendment includes is that additional time, approximately 2 months, because we anticipate bringing back the plan for adoption at the August 24th board meeting. But it did require some back and forth with LA County Waterworks to confirming the projected water demands, some additional analysis related to the water banking and recovery targets that we had in the plan, just to make sure that everything jives with Waterworks' projected demands within their service area. Because we want the two plans to line up as close as they can, just so there's no discrepancies. So that work has been done. Happy to report that staff of the two agencies have met a couple different times, and we're both on the same page. So we'll be bringing that plan for adoption, like I said, in a couple weeks to this board. So what that means is we're recommending an approval of amendment number 1 in the amount of $18,850 to Water Systems Consulting. The original scope of work was $72,220. So just in summary, staff and the planning committee are recommending approval of amendment number 1 with Water Systems Consulting, and authorize the general manager to execute the said amendment with utilizing the agency's standard amendment template. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have. This is Director Donato. This Urban Water Management Consulting Company, are these one of the ones that was recommended from the state to address areas that have declining water basins, or is this a different group of people that was agreed upon with LA County Waterworks and AVAC? I mean, who do they work for?
They're a private consulting firm, engineering firm, and they have done numerous water supply planning documents throughout the state for various agencies like AVAC. So when we knew we had to prepare this plan per DWR's requirements, staff prepared a request for proposal, and we solicited proposals from various engineering firms that do this type of work. So they provide a very detailed proposal to the agency and came well recommended. And like I said, have prepared numerous plans throughout the state.
Now, are these the people different than the ones who gave us a presentation regarding the scope, regarding that we have enough water for the next 20, 25 years?
Yeah, that's a gentleman by the name of Rob Morrow is the one that gave a very detailed presentation about 2 months ago to the board during our public hearing.
Okay, so you made a comment that you went and consulted LA County Waterworks when was it both our report, or was it their report, or was it a joint use report?
No, this report is only for the agency, but LA County Waterworks, being a public water supplier with more than 3,000 service connections, has to prepare their own report. So they had their own consultant working on their behalf to prepare a similar report for their agencies. And we met just to compare the two documents to make sure they were saying the same thing as far as projected water demands and available supplies.
Well, that's interesting. So they have that's very interesting, because I never heard of where you're trying to use two independent companies to find out what your agency is doing and what the planning document that is this going to be recorded with the state?
Yeah, this report gets filed with DWR.
Okay, so the question I have then, why would we compare notes? Wouldn't it be better just to have them do their report, come up with what they have, and then we come up with our report and find out what we have, and that's the end of it.
And we did that, Frank. We each independently prepared our own reports, and at the end of that process, just part of the public review process, we have to distribute our report to our customers and public for public input. They have to do the same thing with their report.
What about the other, 28, 29 water
state water
surveyors? Yeah, are they involved in this thing too?
So the other state water contractors, similar to AVAC, they have to prepare a similar report, and there was some coordination amongst the state water contractors when it comes to the assumptions related to the long-term reliability of the state water project supply.
Liability has nothing to do with AVAC. They get 20,000 acre feet. I mean, ultimately, the taxpayers for Palmdale. Little Rock has 1,900 acre feet of water, and AVAC has just under 150,000 acre feet of water.
But even though the agencies have varying Table A allocation or Table A amounts, the long-term reliability factor, which is a percentage, is the same regardless of the entitlement.
No, not the amount of. They're not the same.
Not the quantity, but the.
No, that's right. Rephrase that. Not in the quantities, in the percentages.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
On our worst day, we have more water than the two of them put together. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out, where the correlation is between our system and other systems out there. And D40, they're not even a state water contractor, so why would we be consulting with them?
We consult with them more on the demand side, just to, projected water demand within their service area, and to make sure that correlates with what we're projecting in our plan.
Yeah, something doesn't add up here, because their projection is based upon what? On lots that have not been developed? What are their... we're doing a report. It's supposed to be factual, so the directors have a good idea when we make decisions now and in the future. What is it based upon? Are they adding up what they think it could be, want to be, should it be? What are these numbers coming up? Because I haven't had the opportunity to look at some of these numbers you're talking about that the county's coming up with.
Let me take a stab at this, Matt. This is Dwayne, General Manager. And Frank, what we try and do for all of our retail customers that have want to participate in the process, they have an opportunity to comment and make reference with regards to our report, and we have an equal opportunity to discuss matters with their report. Now, as you may remember, we had a significant difference between 2020 and 2015 with regards to the per capita demand numbers that we were seeing, actually out in the field. And the agency wanted to talk with Waterworks to see that the per capita numbers that we show for Waterworks were consistent with the per capita numbers that they showed in their report. And as it turned out, it was kind of a verification or kind of a quality control aspect to assure that the numbers that we're using, both in their report and our report, are consistent with what we have seen in real life in the last 5 years that we can utilize for projecting out in the future. To answer your question more fully with regards to how did Waterworks base their future demand numbers, they use the same factors as Avek did with regards to the COG county, the regional agency that puts out projections with the amount of population projections that they anticipate. And then in Waterworks' case, they took the major developments that they know are on the books and in the process, and they included that in their demand numbers. And so that the demand numbers for water over the next 25 years are consistent between the two reports.
Okay.
We in essence, we independently did our own analysis, and it turns out we were both thinking the same.
So why are we spending 18,000 more or 19,000 more to continue on the report? What are we trying to accomplish?
Well, we deviated from the original scope of work and fee schedule with Water Systems Consulting. Our consultant spent more time and effort preparing our report. Therefore, they're requesting an amendment to their contract.
Okay.
But can you please tell us the reasons why they did? Because you told us in committee why it had to be changed, why they had to have this amendment.
Well, first off, the time frame was extended from June 30th through August 31st. So they had some additional time and effort for overall project management and administration.
And why did that happen?
because after our public hearing in mid-June, we started having discussions about the MOU, and it kind of changed the direction we were going with when it comes to new supply for new development. So our plan that was presented at that draft public hearing needed to be amended, and that took a level of effort from the consultant. In addition to that, as I mentioned, there was some additional analysis related to the work with the LA County Waterworks. And then that triggered a number of things in the report and the analysis related to the report, such as the water banking targets and the recovery capacity targets of our banking facilities. So that's it in a nutshell. They did do some added scope of work in determining what our retail customers' gallon per capita per day usage has been in the past. They had to request that information from the State Water Resource Control Board because we weren't getting feedback from all of the retailers.
Well, Matt, what I don't understand, the MOU is one animal.
Yeah.
When they did the report to show, in which our manager specifically said in 2 different meetings that we did not have to go out and buy water, any additional water under our specifications for probably the next 25 years, because we're not a primary source water district. So the question I have is, what the heck's that got to do with if we, as a board, said we want to unwind the MOU because we're not a primary source of water? What is the water management systems? Water systems consulting have to do with that part of it? If we already got a report that says we have plenty of water under their specifications that was presented to the committee and to the board in our study sessions, that's one animal, which means that's what's going on for us. And then we made a decision under those findings that many of the board members said, you know what, this MOU needs to be unwound, and that we're not going to be taking any more money from the general public because our findings were under our water systems consulting study that we don't need to. And that's what our general manager, Dwayne Chisholm, said. And so I don't know why we're spending $18,000 more because we're changing the MOU. What the hell's that got to do with it?
Well, let me back up. So when we approved the original scope of work for water systems consulting, they completed all that work, all the scope work and spent the hours and the fee to do that. That's what was presented at the public hearing. It was after they had completed what we agreed for them to complete at the $72,220, we added some work to their scope.
Whoa, right there. Stop right there. Who's we? The board doesn't. The board didn't know anything, or committee didn't know anything about this. That's what I'm trying to find out.
It was based on direction out of the public hearing and the discussion.
Whoa, yeah, but you know what? We didn't. Did we say we're going to create a budget for? I don't understand. I'm not saying we didn't need it, but we didn't know as directors that there's going to be additional work because the findings. We were looking for the findings under the state of California mandate that everybody has an urban water managing consulting company. We did that. We found out we had more water than we know basically for the next 25 years. And then the board and committee members said, wait, well, then we don't need an MOU. If that's the case, then that goes back on the LA County Waterworks. If there was additional work that needed to be done, I don't know what that is. Wait. Does the whole board know what that is? I don't know.
Hello, this is Keith. May I answer that question?
Yeah.
In the original urban water management plan, as you'll recall, we had several graphs and charts that included the various sources of water. And one of those sources of water is new water that would be brought in by the MOU. If the MOU doesn't exist anymore, those charts have to be modified.
Okay. Keith, that's a very good explanation. And under those circumstances, I understand that. But I don't remember the committee, or maybe I'm not on that committee, I don't know, but that should have been brought, that's how it should have been presented to the board. And now I completely understand, because now we have to revisualize basically that with different numbers when we're not using that water that's coming in. That makes sense. So I think we need, what I'm saying to staff, we need to be more specific of what we're saying. And I know Keith, the president of the board, sometimes has more conversations than we do, but that was, thank you, well put. I appreciate that.
This is Keith again. Matt, could I ask you another question?
Yes.
We know that District 40 had an opportunity to review our draft urban water management plan. Did our other customers, such as Quartz Hill Water District or Roseman CSD, have a similar opportunity?
Yes, they went to, we distributed draft plan to both cities, or all three cities, including Cal City, and then all of our retail customers. Yeah,
great.
So to answer your question, they've all had the opportunity to provide feedback.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Are there any more questions for Matt?
No, that's fine. He answered my question.
In that case, could I have a motion to approve item 7B2?
Mr. President, this is Rob. I move approval of Board Order 7B2.
Thanks, Rob.
This is Director Donato. I second it.
Thank you. Any more questions or discussion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
George Lane,
Yes. Yes.
Shelley Sorsable,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes, the measure passes. Thank you very much for the excellent report, Director Sorsable. Item 8, General Manager's Report. Dwayne?
Thank you, Board President Dias, members of the board. This is the General Manager's Report for August 10th, 2020. As far as state weather goes, we're very hot. Snow levels are 14 to 15,000 acre feet. Not likely to get much of any precipitation during this period.
Acre feet?
What's that?
Snow levels, acre feet?
Snow levels, if I said acre feet, I misspoke. It's 14,000 to 15,000 feet in elevation is what it's meant to be. I got acre feet on the brain. So here's our water. Now, let me get back here. Here's your graph, and this is where we are in July. You can see there's a little bit of precipitation. We're not anticipating any significant precipitation to probably October, November the following year. We'll keep watch of that. This diagram here, once again, will highlight our current condition, with here being the driest year on record, 78, 77. And then here we are at 22.3. So you can see we're here. This is the 1920 year. This is the 14-15 year and the 17-18 year. This line here is average. And then you just to prove that there is rain that happens from time to time, this is our 16-17 year, 82-83, second wettest. And then 18-19, where you can see we had some real significant rain there. With that in mind, our reservoir levels are very low, and you can see here we're at currently in Lake Orville, we're only at 24% of capacity. In San Luis, we're at 18% of capacity, and only 34% of average, or 38% of average. You can see here, just kind of go over all the reservoirs, with the exception of, I believe that's Lake Paris. All the other reservoirs you can see are pretty well down to the minimum levels. And once again, this is more detail. You can see we're right down here drafting below where we were in the Lake Orville will be at its lowest position of even lower than 77, 78. And then also we have same condition with regards to San Luis Reservoir. One of the ramifications of a very significant level, and you can see this as a photograph here, is that the hydro plant at Lake Orville was shut down due to lack of water. And it's at this lowest level it's been since the 1960s. Closer to home, we're still able to treat through our conventional treatment plants about 29 to 30 million gallons a day. And this comes from these various sources. You can see here Roseman at 6 million. Current flow is 20 million gallons a day. The Quartz Hill East Side Water Treatment Plant has 1.6. Then we're getting 2.5 million gallons a day from Acton. As far as our geopurification treatment and recovery of our previously table A water that's been contained in our water bank, you can see we're going between 19 and 20 million gallons a day. We have some bench ranch wells that are operational, along with our west side water bank and the east side water bank. As far as water banking goes, the only place where we're putting some water in is 6 acre-feet a week is associated with the east side water bank. We're putting it in and taking it back out for THM control. This is a somewhat complicated graph, but I wanted to let you know the staff is, here's our current level that we started with back at the beginning of the year, and where we're anticipating we're going to be and where we are today as far as reservoir levels. You can see that we're anticipating in January 2022 we'll be at 64,000 acre-feet of storage. Right now we're right about 73,000, and we started the year out at 88,000. So you can see in this very dry year we're drafting our reservoirs down, and we'll continue to do that in the following year if we continue to have very dry conditions at the State Water Project level. As far as water quality goes, you have very low volumes of water that are being sent down the canal. It does, we get very high temps of that water, so the temperature gets very high, and the water quality is pretty poor. We're still able to treat it appropriately and get it through our system, and it's we have no problems with regards to the treatment, but it makes it far more difficult when we have these low flows and high temperatures. All of our THMs, our quarter samples should come in this week, and then our annual sampling of ag wells is going to occur tomorrow. As far as operation maintenance, we're pumping about 95% of our capacity at the recovery facilities, the West Side Water Bank. The Bench Ranch 2 is currently being repaired and should be back in operation by the end of the month. As you know, we have the Rosewood Treatment Plant online. We have no new confirmed COVID cases. The events that we have we have a water master meeting on 8/25. The National Water Resources Association Water tour Spokane, Washington is 8:10 to 8:13. We have the Aqua Zooming Through California Series 3 on 8:19. And the CSDA annual conference is 8:30 to 9:02 in Monterey. My schedule is I'm back from vacation and plan to be in the office the balance of the month. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. Let's move along to item 9, directors' reports. Any reports by any of the directors? Hearing none, we'll move along to item 10, attorney report. Is it Jim or Tilden tonight?
It's Tilden. Thank you, President Dice. Nothing to report today.
Thank you. Item 11, request for future agenda items. Do any members of the board have a request for an agenda item for future meetings?
Yeah, this is Director Donato. I want to discuss the on the agenda for discussion of the MOU. I want to see if the board, we can expedite a meeting. I'm getting several calls. It's not my business to get this kind of stuff, but these people out there all over the Antelope Valley are getting a little fed up that they can't get any answers between District 40 and AVAC on what is going on. So the sooner we can dissolve the MOU, we don't need to, there's no agreement. We dissolve the MOU and then send those people to the county and say, we don't have an agreement with them whatsoever. Okay, and that's what we need to do. And I want to put that on our future agenda item.
Thank you. Any other requests?
Well, I have a question. This is a matter of great importance, and I wonder if staff would be ready to have this done before our next regularly scheduled meeting and have a special meeting on just this subject.
Shelley, it may depend upon what we're able to accomplish tonight in closed session.
Okay. All right. So let's just, if you don't mind, keep that thought.
Yes, will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Item 12, closed session. Dwayne, is there a reason to go into closed session tonight?
Yes, we have two items, items D and C.
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
George Lane, Shelley Sourceable,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes, thank you. That passes. So, Holly, could you please begin the transition into closed session?
Yes, if you directors might receive a message to join the meeting, just look at your screen, and if you're prompted to hit yes, just join. So, be a few minutes. Thank you. 3 moments.